Shalom and good morning. Today we're going to start off reading in the book known as Joshua, or also properly known as Yahu'sha. So, Yahu'sha chapter 1. And it came to be after the death of Masha, the servant of Yahu'ah, that Yahu'ah spoke to Yahu'sha, son of Nun, the assistant of Masha, saying, Masha, my servant, is dead. So now arise, pass over this Yarden, you and all this people, to the land which I am giving to them, to the children of Yisrael. Every place on which the soil of your foot treads, I have given you, as I spoke to Masha. Every place on which the sole of your foot treads, I'm repeating myself. From the wilderness in this Lebanon, even as far as the great river, the river Euphrates, all the land of the Hittites, and to the great sea toward the going down of the sun is your border. No man is going to stand before you all the days of your life. As I was with Masha, so I am with you. I do not fail you nor forsake you. Be strong and courageous, for you are to let this people inherit the land which I swore to their fathers to give them. Only be strong and very courageous, to guard and to do according to all the Torah which Masha, my servant, commanded you. Do not turn from it right or left, so that you act wisely wherever you go. Do not let this book of the Torah depart from your mouth, but you shall meditate on it day and night, so that you guard to do according to all that is written in it. For then you shall make your way prosperous and act wisely. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid nor discouraged, for Yahu'ah your Elohim is with you wherever you go. And Yahu'sha commanded the officers of the people, saying, Pass through the midst of the camp, and command the people, saying, Prepare food for yourselves, for within 3 days you are passing over this Yarden, to go in to possess the land which Yahu'ah your Elohim is giving you to possess. And Yahu'sha spoke to the Reubenites and to the Gadites, and to half the tribe of Manasseh, saying, Remember the word which Masha, servant of Yahu'ah, commanded you, saying, Yahu'ah your Elohim is giving you rest, and he shall give you this land. Let your wives, your little ones, and your livestock stay in the land which Masha gave you beyond the Yarden. But you shall pass before your brothers in fives, all your brave fighters, and shall help them, until you has given your brothers rest, as unto you, so shall they also take possession of the land which Yahu'ah your Elohim is given them. Then you shall return to the land of your possession, and shall possess that which Masha, the servant of Yahu'ah, gave you beyond the Yarden toward the rising of the sun. And they answered Yahu'sha, saying, All that you have commanded us we do, and wherever you send us we go. According to all that we obeyed Masha, so we obey you. Only let Yahu'ah your Elohim be with you, as he was with Masha. Whoever rebels against your mouth and does not obey your words, and all that you command him, is put to death. Only be strong and courageous. Yahu'sha chapter 2. And Yahu'sha, son of Nun, secretly sent out 2 men from Shittim to spy, saying, Go see the land and Yarrow. And they went and came to the house of a woman, a whore, and her name was Rahab. And they lay down here. But it was reported to the sovereign of Yarrow, saying, See, men from the children of Yisrael have come here tonight to search out the land. And the sovereign of Yarrow sent to Rahab, saying, Bring out the men who have come to you, who have entered your house, for they have come to search out all the land. But the woman had taken the 2 men and hid them. So she said, The men came to me, but I did not know where they were from. Then it came to be, as the gate was being shut, when it was dark, that the men went out. I do not know where the men went. Pursue them quickly, so that you overtake them. But she had brought them up to the roof and hidden them with the stalks of flax, which she had laid out on the roof. And the men pursued them by the way to the garden, to the fords, and they shut the gate afterwards as soon as the pursuers had gone out. But before they lay down, she came up to them on the roof, and she said to the men, I know that Yahu'ah has given you the land, and that the fear of you has fallen on us, and that all the inhabitants of the land melt away because of you. For we have heard how Yahu'ah dried up the water of the sea of reeds for you when you came out of Mishraim, and what you did to the two sovereigns of the Amorites who were beyond the Jordan, Sihon and Og, whom you put under the ban. And when we heard, our hearts melted, and there was no spirit left in anyone because of you. For Yahu'ah your Eluah, he is Eluah in the Shemayim above the earth, above and on the earth beneath. And now, please swear to me by Yahu'ah, since I have shown you love and commitment, that you also show love and commitment to my father's house, and shall give me a true token, and shall spare my father and my mother and my brothers and my sisters and all that they have, and shall deliver our lives from death. And the men said to her, Our lives for yours. If you do not expose the matter of ours, then it shall be, when Yahu'ah has given us the land, that we shall treat you in love and commitment and truth. So she let them down by a rope through the window, for her house was on the city wall, and she dwelt on the wall. And she said to them, Go to the mountain, lest the pursuers come upon you, and you shall hide there 3 days until the pursuers have returned, and afterwards you go on your way. And the men said to her, We are released from this oath of yours which you have made us swear. Unless we come into the land, you bind this line of scarlet cord in the window through which you let us down. And unless you bring your father, your mother, and your brothers, and your father's household to your own home. And it shall be that anyone who goes outside the doors of your house into the street, his blood is on his own head, and we are innocent. And anyone who is with you in the house, his blood is on your head, if a hand is laid on him. And if you expose this matter of ours, then we shall be released from your oath by which you made us swear. And she said, Let it be according to your words. And she sent them away, and they went. And she bound the scarlet cord in the window. So they left and came to the mountain, and stayed there 3 days until the pursuers returned. And the pursuers sought them in all the way, but did not find them. The two men returned and came down from the mountain and passed over, and they came to Yahu'sha son of Nun, and related to him all that had befallen them. And they said to Yahu'sha, Truly Yahu'ah has given all the land into our hands, and also all the inhabitants of the land have melted away because of us. Yahu'sha chapter 3. And Yahu'sha rose early in the morning, and they set out from Shittim and came to the Jordan, he and all the children of Yisrael, and stayed there before they passed over. And it came to be after 3 days that the officers went into the midst of the camp. And they commanded the people, saying, When you see the ark of the covenant of Yahu'ah your Eluah, and the priests the Levites bearing it, then you shall set out from your place and follow. Only keep a distance between you and it, about 2,000 cubits by measure. Do not come near it, so that you know which way to go. for you have not passed over this way before. And Yahu'sha said to the people, Set yourselves apart, for tomorrow Yahu'ah is going to do wonders in your midst. And Yahu'sha spoke to the priests, saying, Take up the ark of the covenant and pass over before the people. So they took up the ark of the covenant and went before the people. And Yahu'ah said to Yahu'sha, This day I begin to make you great before the eyes of all Yisrael, so that they know that I am with you, as I was with Moshe. And you commanded the priest who bear the ark of the covenant, saying, When you come to the edge of the water of the Yarden, stand in the Yarden. And Yahu'sha said to the children of Yisrael, Come near and hear the words of Yahu'ah your Lord. And Yahu'sha said, By this you shall know that the living El is in your midst, and that he is certainly driving out from before you the Canaanites and the Hittites and the Hivites and the Perizzites and the Girgashites and the Amorites and the Jebusites. See, the ark of the covenant of the master of all the earth is passing over before you in the Yarden. And now take for yourselves 12 men from the tribes of Yisrael, 1 man of each tribe. And it shall be, as soon as the soles of the feet of the priests who bear the ark, the master of all the earth, shall come to rest in the waters of the Yarden, that the waters of the Yarden are cut off, the waters that come down from upstream, and stand as a heap. And it came to be, when the people set out from their tents to pass over the Yarden, with the priests bearing the ark of the covenant before the people. And those bearing the ark came to the Yarden, and the feet of the priests bearing the ark dipped in the edge of the water. Now the Yarden overflows all its banks during all the time of harvest. That the waters which came down from upstream stood still, and rose in a heap very far away at Adam, the city that is beside Serathim. And the waters going down into the sea of Arabah, the salt sea, were completely cut off, and the people passed over opposite Yarrow. And the priest bearing the ark of the covenant of Yahu'ah stood firm on dry ground in the midst of the Yarden, and all Yisrael had passed over on dry ground, until all the nation had completely passed over the Yarden. Yahu'sha chapter 4. And it came to be, when the entire nation had completely passed over the Yarden, that Yahu'ah spoke to Yahu'sha, saying, Take for yourselves 12 men from the people, 1 man from every tribe, and command them, saying, Take for yourselves 12 stones from here, out of the midst of the Yarden, from the place where the priest's feet stood firm. And you shall bring them with you, and leave them in the camp in which you spend the night. And Yahu'sha called the 12 men whom he had appointed from the children of Yisrael, 1 man from every tribe. And Yahu'sha said to them, Pass over before the ark of Yahu'ah your Lord in the midst of the Yarden, and each one of you take up a stone on his shoulder, according to the number of tribes of the children of Yisrael. So that this shall be a sign in your midst when your children ask in time to come, saying, What do these stones mean to you? Then you shall answer them that the waters of the Yarden were cut off before the ark of covenant of Yahu'ah. When it passed over the Yarden, the waters of the Yarden were cut off. And these stones shall be for a remembrance to the children of Yisrael forever. And the children of Yisrael did so, as Yahu'sha commanded, and took up 12 stones from the midst of the Yarden, as Yahu'ah had spoken to Yahu'sha, according to the number of tribes of the children of Yisrael, and took them over with them to their camp, and laid them down there. Yahu'sha also set up 12 stones in the midst of the Yarden, in the place where the feet of the priests who bore the ark of the covenant stood, and they are there to this day. And the priests who bore the ark stood in the midst of the yarden until every matter was finished that Yahuwah had commanded Yahu'sha to speak to all the people according to all that Moshe had commanded Yahu'sha, and the people hastened and passed over. And it came to be, when all the people had completely passed over, that the ark of Yahuwah and the priests passed over in the presence of the people. And the sons of Reuben and the sons of Gad and half the tribe of Manasseh passed over in fives before the children of Yisrael, as Moshe had spoken to them. About 40,000 armed ones of the army passed over before Yahuwah for battle to the desert plains of Yarrow. On that day Yahuwah made Yahu'sha great before the eyes of all Yisrael, and they feared him. And they had feared, as they had feared Moshe, all the days of his life. And Yahuwah spoke to Yahu'sha, saying, Command the priests to bear the ark of the witness, and let them come up from the yarden. And Yahu'sha commanded the priests, saying, Come up from the yarden. And it came to be, when the priests who bore the ark of the covenant of Yahuwah had come from the midst of the yarden, and the soles of the priests' feet touched the dry land, that the waters of the Yarden returned to their place, and flowed over all its banks as before. And the people came up from the Yarden on the 10th day of the first new month, and they camped in Gilgal, on the east border of Yarrow. And those 12 stones which they took out of the Yarden, Yahu'sha set up in Gilgal. And he said to the children of Yisrael, saying, When your children ask their fathers in time to come, saying, What are these stones? Then you shall let your children know, saying, Yisrael passed over this Yarden on dry land. For Yahuwah your Yahuwah dried up the waters of the Yarden before you until you had passed over. And Yahuwah your Yahuwah did to the sea of reeds, as Yahuwah your Yahuwah did to the sea of reeds, which he dried up before us until we had passed over, so that all the people of the earth shall know the hand of Yahuwah is strong, so that you shall fear Yahuwah your Yahuwah forever.